Hello, welcome to Hustle Class. It's your boy Jermaine.
And it's your boy Eon, you know me.
Yes, we are live and it is 5. All right, so yeah, crazy week in the market. Lots of lesson learned, lots of L's, lots of dubs. Eon, how do you feel like this week went for you?
This week for me was fantastic. Um, it was really great. I mean, so many new things happening, emerging stocks. Then you have old stocks that are reviving themselves. Then you have companies that went bankrupt that
Mm-hmm.
are pulling through with like higher share prices. So overall, I'm cool. I'm waiting for to see next week and waiting for the 15th to pull up. That's it.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so the first thing that I wanted to talk about today is about phase 2. So, as we know, all the major markets are having like all these positive points with everything approaching. And a lot of it is because, contrary to the current state where there's still no cure necessarily and there's still the COVID issue, it seems like things are starting to become open or people are feeling more comfortable going out. With that being said, some of the things that are going to open up with phase 2, they say schools can reopen. So I know that George Mason, my college, is saying that people could come in the fall, come back to school. Um, Hospitals, you should be allowed to go in there without it being necessarily like emergency like COVID is. Um, Movie theaters, sit down dining, sporting venues, places of worship can operate moderately. Gyms and bars without, crowding. So with this being said, right, I know that a couple of things that we noticed in this time was things that required a lot of people to go there started dropping. Things that were like, you could do like telework necessarily, or like you could do it at a distance, like say DraftKings. It's something that you could just do online. Stuff like that started like, I guess, going up, whereas AMC and like Dave and Buster's and things of that nature were tanking. How do you see it kind of shifting in phase 2? Do you see it shifting? Do you think it's just going to kind of be more consistent until phase 3 in terms of price?
Like the stock market price,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to predict because even when things look good, it still go bad. Even when things look bad, it still goes good. So it's like me calling that right now would be preposterous. Like I really don't know. I would like for it to line up. Like okay, AMC was talking about we have substantial doubt that, and those are the words, substantial doubt that they'll be able to operate, fully or at all, due to the effects of the COVID-19, shutdown and hold on business. So me saying like, oh well, it should go up. I mean that might not be the case because all right, people are allowed to go, but do people want to go? And will the company even be open for people to go?
Mm-hmm.
Different things to think about, different things to wait and see, different news to hear. So, I mean, I sold my position. I know you said you sold your position. I sold my 200 shares of AMC. I got like $1,000 off of it, so I'm not mad. But um, it would have been good to get what I was expecting.
Yeah.
I didn't, and I'm not mad at it. But I'm gonna keep it on my watch because if I can still get in at like $5, I mean, cool. I'll buy like 200 more shares or whatever. So that'll be
Yeah,
fine.
I'm definitely not looking to buy them unless I get word of that Amazon thing that they was talking about. The first time there was like Amazon is in talks with AMC. No telling what they would have done or what they might do, but if Amazon is able to do something with AMC, that's the only way I see myself getting back into it. Reason being, when I looked at AMC's track record, stock related, not let's say how they operate their business, stock related, over the last year or 2 years, they just kind of just been like dwindling. Like it's just been getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And it's kind of like, okay, when things are increasing in price wise, yours decreasing. And so even though it's a COVID season and things have had a massive decrease, I don't know. Maybe I just don't see the value personally. But yeah, stocks is a game of how you see value in certain things and executing on that. One thing that I'll say is, I mean, I know that stuff like Weight Watchers, and there was another thing that was like online home workouts. I don't know how those are gonna work as gyms start to open up, because people like me didn't necessarily buy equipment. We just kind of tried to find stuff to do in the crib. So once we can actually use stuff outside of our homes, I think people like me will migrate towards that. That might end up bringing the price lower, due to maybe they might not have the same earnings, considering a lot of people might resort back to what they used to do. But that's subjective.
And that's the thing you gotta realize. People are waiting to go back to their regular lives, so they're not gonna realize, dang, I saved so much money not going to the gym and just doing this. They're gonna be like, man, I just missed the gym.
I feel you.
Dang, son, I remember being in the gym and I would see so and so, and it would just be good vibes, and it was a good workout, But then again, for the gym, like me in the gym, it's like I feel more obligated to do more things in the gym than I do
when you're at the crib.
Yeah, or a private gym. Like when I'm in a public gym, I'm like, dang, I gotta get it in, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Shorty on the elliptical looking, I can't be slacking, you know what I'm saying? Not realistically speaking, like, I
say yeah 7 times. Say yeah.
But nah, I can't get caught slipping, especially in the public gym. So like in the private gym, I can mess around and like do what I feel like it, but like in public gym, I feel more motivated. You know what I'm saying? I just like that Jay-Z song, "Ball So Hard." You know what I'm saying? I just feel motivated. You know what I'm saying?
Hold it down.
Right,
you gotta hold it down in there.
I'm sorry, that was it.
All right, no, that's good. So yeah, I agree. And then another thing, like we're talking about AMC movie theaters opening up, but what does that really mean? I guess we'll see in the coming days. One thing that I will say is, it's now that we're moving towards phase 2, we saw that Boeing and certain airlines, I think United and American, really shot up this week. Like Boeing is up like, I don't know the percentage, but they're up like $60 in the last week, which is crazy. And so what I ended up doing was I took my money out of AMC, getting that sale, and I put it into Boeing. And so that was a good decision. Like,
did you make the 40K?
Nah, I didn't. But cause I was late. Like I said, it went up $60 in the last week. It went up $15 in the last day. I put in $10 yesterday. When I woke up today, it was I put in $20 yesterday. When I woke up today, it was $200, and then I put in more, but I ran out of day trades, so I have to hold it over the weekend, which is sad. So I saw it climb up. I saw my thing go 300%, and then I saw it come down to 0%.
I told you, my main advice to people: don't play with earnings, don't play with weekends. Like,
yeah,
especially if you're getting in something late. You know what I'm saying? You never want to play with the weekend, son. Cause I was telling somebody who called me, asking me to help them get started with like trading and stocks and all that.
Yeah,
you don't want to play with the weekend, because those are 2 whole days where anything can be said, and even if it's not really factual, like all it takes in media be like, or Donald Trump to be like, you know what, I don't want nobody going to the movies, or I don't want nobody flying. You know what I'm saying? Like, dang, boom, back to the ground. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, you can't do anything about it.
Or anything. A hive could break out. You know what I'm saying? People could just start getting rashes out of nowhere, and then it's like, no, you know what I'm saying? It's like anything can happen, and it's
anything
just
can
like,
happen. It's more time away from
no
your
travel.
money.
Yeah, like, and there's nothing you could do about it.
There's nothing I could do about it. So
you can't sell.
Man, what I would tell people is just like, that's why you have to be consistent. This week, I wasn't consistent trading or like just doing stock stuff at all. I was not consistent at all. So I'd forgotten that I'd used up all my day trades. So I was accumulating all these Boeings like, oh, as soon as it does it, I'm a break. I tried to sell close to the peak and it said, warning, pattern day trader, 1 more trade away. And I was like, oh man. So now I was stuck, and I was like, you know what? Since I've gained all this leverage on the one I put in last night, I'm just gonna keep it in with the rest of the pot and hold it over the weekend. And I was like, okay, or maybe the right word isn't leverage, equity. So I had, I turned 20 to 200, and I was like, well, now that's at a good price. So instead of me taking it out, I have all this in there. That's not gonna go back to my 10 cent or whatever it was. So I'm just gonna keep it in there too. So I have a total like greater equity. I'm gonna keep it in over the weekend just because I can't do anything about it. And hopefully the charts look like it was gonna pull through and Boeing was gonna have another leap next week. But like you're saying, there's too much uncertainty. So I would advise everybody to be more consistent so that when you come in, you know that I'm almost out of day trades, and you don't hop into Joan thinking, things are sweet. Because I was shocked when I was like, I really used all my day trades already. Like,
yeah, my thing is, I don't even like if you aren't consistent with the trading, I don't get into a certain stock like on Thursdays. You know what I'm saying? Like, I will have to be like really following that one stock for the whole week or 2 weeks. Like, I think I made like $500 or $600 off of Avis today from yesterday. So, yesterday later in the afternoon, and I was just like, but I've been following Avis for months, so I wasn't really worried about that, and I knew, okay, every Wednesday something typically goes on. Either it goes down or it goes up. I don't know why Wednesdays, but it sometimes happens Thursday. Just so happened it was today that it happened, so that kind of was like profitable for me, and it worked out. But certain companies like Spirit, I could have bought calls on Spirit, but I was just like, I wasn't really like watching them like that. I had them on my radar. I bought shares, but I wasn't really like, oh yeah, Spirit, let me like settle up, you know what I'm saying, get right. But so definitely, you know what I'm saying, if you're gonna trade like later in the week, make sure it's a company that you've been following or something that you know is gonna hold tangible, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, when I was looking at the Boeing charts for like, the 10-day, 20-day, I was like, it's gonna hold it down. But I mean, honestly, we'll end up seeing what happens with that. But the airlines were also rallying, so are people necessarily taking more flights now? Not necessarily, but as you can see with the stock market, kind of like Leon always says with the legalized gambling, a lot of it is speculation. It might not necessarily be tangible. Sometimes when you start looking at charts, you can see when something is being overbought or oversold. And when you see something is being overbought, you're like, oh, it's gonna tank, and it just keeps on getting overbought because people are just like hype around it. So it doesn't really necessarily make sense with the numbers, but more people are just interested in our buying. So that's a lot to look at. And another thing that I guess is good news is that Apple hit their 52-week high. So I guess you would ask, like, what does that mean? Well, if Apple's hitting their 52-week high during a pandemic season, I mean, kind of tells you that how the company operates and how they can operate and be efficient and effective and successful even when it seems like there's hiring freezes and people can't go anywhere and there's nobody coming to your stores. They can still be effective. So one of the best stocks to look at, I mean, people already know it, but moving into the future is Apple. So I would urge everybody, if you're looking to long-term invest or even play the options game with, you could definitely look at Apple and execute with them. I've definitely made a couple of dollars off of them, me and Eon, so Apple's a good one to look at. And when I look at the charts and see the Dow, the S&P, and the NASDAQ, and you kind of see how all of them are moving in a positive direction, you also kind of realize that a lot of it is contingent upon how these tech companies are doing well. So, formerly with the stock market, a lot of the progress of it was centered around banks. But now a lot of the progress is centered around these kind of tech companies that are really pushing their valuations and just pushing their highs and stuff like that. So that's interesting. That's honestly all I have to really say. We could talk about the plays we made this week, unless you have something that you want to, get into.
I'm
Okay.
good.
All right.
However you
So,
want to go.
I mean, as I was saying, my bowling play. As Ian was saying, I seen a homie of mine like break the bank on that play. I seen a G go to 10. I seen 10 go back in, turn to 40. I was like, what?
Yeah.
And it was crazy. And then even I got in late. And like I said, I was late. Like when I saw all this happening, I was like, I'm too late. And then I was like, you know what? Let me just put like 20 in it. And the 20 turned to 200 in a day. And I was like, what? So after that happened, I was like, I just got to dump. And then I didn't realize that I used all my day trades. So I dumped. And I was like, I'm just going to just swing and just get out of it. And I was out of plays. So I played myself. And then another play that I got into Nike sometime this week. It's holding up well. The price of my option hasn't changed. I got into TAL. TL is I think it's like a Chinese education platform. It was supposed to tank with Trump bringing up China restrictions because of the malpractices of potential Chinese businesses, but since that never happened, I saw it was rallying and it just kept on getting bigger and bigger. Looked at the charts and it just looks like it's going in a positive direction, so I just did a quick call on that. I had a Baidu put that expired. It was up a little bit, but it wasn't up enough, so I just eventually let it go to 1. I didn't have that much in it. I was able to make that back off of Snapchat earlier this week. So, things were good this week in the market. Things could have been better. I realized I need to be more consistent because, when you're consistent, you're less likely to make certain mistakes. Like if next week opens and Boeing is tanking, that's on me. That's on me. I could have seen it and been like, okay, I missed it. On to the next one. But I decided to dump, forgetting that I had already used all my day trades and I couldn't execute the way I had planned to.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of stay engaged with the things so that you don't take certain L's.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest L I took, which is not really an L, but because I still made like several $100s off of it and I still have like 221 shares, was the Genius Brands. The SEC kept putting like halts on the stock and people kept getting nervous because they was like, oh, is there another buyout? But there was never a buyout. Because a buyout just happened like less than 3 weeks ago in May. And so people were getting nervous because there's some news to come up. They said we have a great news coming up, but people waiting for the news. So the stock went from $11. I was up probably $4 or $5 on the stock, and it went up to $11, and then it halted to 10. Then it halted to 6. Then it halted to 4, and it kind of just stayed between like the 5 to 7 range, and that's still where it's at now. So, I mean, and all this happened in a week, so I feel like the price that it's at now is pretty good because the stock was moving way beyond its time. Like it was just too ahead for itself. Like because this joint was just at $2 last week, so from 2 to 11 in like 4 or 5 days, that was just moving too fast for a brand new company. Not brand new company, but a company that's just launching something on the 15th. So I'm holding my joint to the 15th. You know what I'm saying? I talked to my dad. We talk about stocks every day. Literally every evening we talk about like stocks and money moves. So I was just like, hey, you think it's just worth it to just get out and just get what profit I can? He was like, I mean, well, and I told him, I said, there's no bad news. And that's another thing I tell people, like, if something's falling for no reason or for a reason of a halt or whatever, because the SEC was just halting it to make sure, like, there was no corruption going on with the stock. And no news was released saying that there was, so I probably should have just held my joint, but I still sold it for, like, maybe, like, $500 profit or something like that. But, yeah, but what was I saying about that? Dang, I hate when I get off track.
You've been talking about it the whole time, so I don't know what else you're trying to say.
Dang, all right. So I was saying, like, so if it's not news supporting, like, negativity, then don't really sweat it, you know what I'm saying? Like I said last week, have have faith and confidence in your moves. And I do. That's why I still have 221 shares. Well, 232 shares actually, because I have dang, I got like 240 because I have some, I think, a swim account.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So I still think it'll go to 15 or 10 by the 15th. And I mean, if it goes to 20, then basically I just got back everything that I was shorted of. So I'm looking forward to that for the 15th because, I mean, the launch, they're talking about launching on Apple TV, Amazon, Netflix, Xfinity.
They going everywhere.
Yeah, and they coming out with, like, products like toys, cereal, all that, apparel, and all that. So it's just, like, little knickknacks. And I'm just like, son, I mean, for no news, for that joint to drop like that, and not bounce back, because it's dropped before, but it bounced back in the next, like, 20 minutes. So for it to not bounce back like that, I'm like, all right, so it's finally settling. And people, like, and it's still in the top 100 under 20. And it's in the top 100 on Robinhood. It was, what else? The top movers, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's still something that everybody's looking at. Whether or not they putting something in or taking something out, I don't know, but that's definitely something that I'm still watching. So.
All right. Sounds good. So that's something that you worked on this week and something that you're looking for moving forward. Moving forward, I think next week I'm probably just going to focus on that Boeing and trying to execute on it. I'm going to set up notifications on my phone so I can make sure I'm in tune with anything going on with Boeing. Anything that's speculative of it going up, I'm rocking. I don't think Boeing is done going up based on the chart. It just kind of slowed down at the end of the week, like today. But if you look at the chart and you look at how everything balances out, you could tell, I mean, Boeing is probably headed for like 300 by phase 3. So, I mean, that's how or if not even phase 3, just
all
by
Boeing has to do is just fix that one incident when that plane, had air, and it's great. It'll go back up. I mean, I might look into Boeing as well, because, son, why not? But
yeah, why not? I mean, like, literally, like, if you look at what carried the market, it was Boeing and the airlines. Those carried the market this week in terms of, like,
most planes are Boeing.
That's true.
Jets, so yeah.
That's true. But yeah, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me and Eon. We gonna hold it down.
Oh,
Always
definitely.
Always here to hold it down with my good man.
Yeah, man. And it's
so,
coming near, so.
Hey, you know us.
You know.
Switched it up.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Peace out.
All right, I'll talk to y'all next week.